My name is Andrew Kursuss, and I run a raw food website called rawfoodhealth.net. I once had a intestinal disease called colitis. I used to also be very overweight. I weighed 220 pounds, and so I ended up adopting a raw food diet as a way of combating that and just generally escaping, just the feeling of not having any energy, just feeling poorly overall, and it's really changed my life.
Right. So how was your life prior? What did you used to eat, and how did you used to live your life before you changed everything?
Well, I grew up in a household that followed what could be called a standard American diet. It probably wasn't particularly bad by the standards of America, but nor was it particularly healthy. And it was kind of frustrating because even though my brother and I were fed the exact same food, I was always really overweight all through my childhood and teenage years, whereas he was skinny. So, I kind of figured something isn't right there. And then I eventually started getting myself in shape just before I went raw, just making some dietary improvements in general, starting exercising and kind of just learning about what my body wanted. That worked, and I lost some weight, and I did feel a little bit better, but I developed colitis, which started in middle school and continuously got worse. And so
what symptoms did you have?
Well, basically my intestines were essentially in revolt. There was bleeding and pus, and I had really bad constipation, really bad foul-smelling gas. It was pretty much ruining my life. It sounds like, oh, well, those are just isolated things, but when your digestive system doesn't work, your life is kind of hell.
Oh, yeah.
So I was really miserable with that in college. It just kept getting worse and worse, and I tried various experiments, diets, and I went to my doctor and said, hey, look, I know from keeping a food log that my symptoms change depending on what I eat. And he said, no, that's not really possible. Your symptoms are just coming and going into remission, but what you're eating has nothing to do with it. And so that really, frankly, pissed me off because I've always been, really, I pay attention to what happens, and I see that there are consequences. And so at that time, I tried eating a raw food diet, and I had a tremendous amount of success in really just 30 days. I pretty much ate just bananas for 30 days because at that time I found that raw vegetables really irritated my system because it was just so messed up and whatever was going on in there. And so I started just eating bananas for 30 days, and by the end of the 30 days most of my symptoms were gone, and by the end of about 60 days I was pretty much able to eat more fruit, and I was feeling almost pretty much the entirety of my symptoms were gone. A couple months after that I could eat raw vegetables, and a few more months down the line I was able to eat cruciferous vegetables, harder stuff that's harder to digest. And my health has really just improved since then. I've taken up running. I can run a marathon now. Most people consider me really fit, which is completely different than what I was like when I was growing up.
How much did you weigh before?
I weighed 220 pounds, which
and today?
I weigh 158 or thereabouts. So that's a decent amount of weight lost.
Oh yeah.
60 pounds.
What else did you have, besides bowel problems? Did you have other symptoms?
Yeah, well, in general, my health wasn't fantastic. I got sick every winter, the normal stuff. I had really horrible headaches growing up, just horrible migraine headaches. And I would be curled up on the ground in a ball just because my head would not stop pounding. I ended up spending way too many hours curled up in bed just in pain. Miserable way to spend a part of your childhood. And mostly because I was overweight, but also because what I was eating, and probably to some degree the colitis, that at an early point I never could be really as athletically active as I would have wanted when I was younger. I kind of missed a lot of the opportunities I would have embraced. So for instance, when I was I remember one year I got signed up for football because my parents, American football, and and my dad's really into it. He wanted me to do, but I remember how miserable I was, and it was just a short little trot around the field that today would have been a brief warm-up, not even, wouldn't even win me today, but it was so horrible that like I came back and my stomach was in knots, and I felt like I was choking because my throat was closed up.
Really?
And so as I improved my diet in various ways over the years, like cutting out dairy was big, and I was able to breathe again. And then just things really got ratcheted up when I went raw and really began to just really concentrate on my health and how my life and my lifestyle and my diet affected dramatically the way that I experienced life.
How about medication? Did you take anything before?
No, I've always been kind of anti-medication, and my parents were always of the opinion that if you get sick, you should just recover from the sickness unless you're dying or something. And so I actually think that's a blessing because I ended up getting a lot less of the barrage of antibiotics, for instance, which we now know plays a major role in killing intestinal flora, which produce a lot of beneficial bacteria like B12. And I've never had, despite being on this diet since I started in 2005 and I went 100% in 2007, and despite being all that time no animal products, I have had no B12 deficiency. I still get blood tests periodically, and they're always at good levels.
And do you supplement?
I don't supplement at all. I just rely on whatever gut flora production I may have. That's something, a controversial point. A doctor would question that, and as well as trying to consume a wide variety of organic produce as much as possible. Before I left Connecticut, where I used to live, I had a garden. I would grow my own food, and I would make sure, I grew it according to my own standards, which are kind of a lot
pretty high,
a lot higher than you find from the grocery store stuff. So,
and what do you eat in a normal day today? When I first started off, most people can't eat a sufficient amount in 2 meals to do all of their get all their calories in, but as I've been on this diet, my stomach capacity has expanded, and I find that I personally enjoy eating just 2 meals a day. So I'll start off depending on what I'm doing. If I'm sitting around doing work on my computer all day, obviously I eat a lot less. But if I'm taking a really strenuous day out doing a lot of physical activity, I'll start off and I'll eat a meal of, say, here in Thailand I might eat 10 mangoes, more, depending on what I've got going. And then usually the second meal of the day will be more fruit of some kind, maybe a watermelon or a whole bunch of some other type of melon. And then finish it up with a really huge salad. And by that I mean that dwarfs anyone's expectation of what normal salad would look like. So 2 to 3 heads of lettuce and maybe cucumbers and tomatoes and whatever else I want to throw in there. Maybe a dressing made up of something that I concocted in a blender. Oh, great. Do you have one final advice for anybody who is considering to change their health?
Yeah.
During this way?
I would say that a lot of people are going to tell you you're crazy. A lot of people are going to tell you it's not going to work, that you're going to run into health problems, that you're going to kill yourself. Where are you going to get your protein? They're going to badger you. You're going to be concerned. You'll have doubts. But I would say that if my own experience is anything to tell, and I work with a lot of clients doing coaching, and I talk to a lot of people through my website, and just seeing the remarkable recoveries that happen, people overcoming all manner of diseases. I would say that it's kind of, if you're concerned about your health, if you're concerned about your future and where you're going to be in 10 years and more importantly, what state you're going to be in 10 years, I would say that you kind of owe it to yourself to try to live differently, try to embrace something that's both entirely pleasurable and beneficial for your body. So I'd say give it a shot.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sure.